So what's life like?
Crazy. 15 minutes in. It's good. It's really good. Being a mom's amazing. It's really busy and
Hmm.
it's really tiring, but it's pretty awesome. And my little nugget is just like flying through all of his milestones, which is kind of killing me a little bit because I thought he'd stay little, like a little longer.
Yeah.
He's only 7.5 months and he's like trying to take steps and he's crawling and he's pulling himself up to standing and like it's flying by so fast and
Hmm.
I don't want to freeze time. I do want him to grow up, but I just wish I could enjoy it like a little bit more and like just
Yeah.
have it slow down.
Hmm.
But and then I just finished up my LNA thing as licensed nursing assistant.
Hmm.
So I went back to school because I chose not to go back to work so that I could stay home with Caleb.
Mm.
And so I passed my state boards for that November 1st. And now it's just like paperwork going in and then I go to apply for jobs. So I'm not technically working as an LNA, but I am like I'll be licensed.
Okay.
And then I'm going to work overnights so that we don't have to put Caleb in childcare.
Okay. That's all. Okay. Okay. So this is like a whole
Yeah.
different world to me. Um,
Yeah, I know. I know. it's it's crazy, but also awesome. Well, hold on here. So my world is completely like different for you, but this
yeah.
world that we're in right now
Yeah.
is completely different for me.
Yeah.
I FaceTime, but that's about it.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So I do want to talk about the parenting stuff. But so before we get into that, what was your mindset before all of that? Because I mean, again, I don't know your life. I don't know necessarily what's going on. We kind of just talk a few minutes here and there. So
Yeah. Well, I like in terms of kids, I always wanted them. Like since I was
okay,
like 5, I knew I
okay,
wanted to be a mom
hmm
forever and ever and ever and ever. And half the reason I fell in love with my husband was that he told me like we got into a deep conversation and he said, when I was a kid, people always asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, and it was never like a doctor or a firefighter. It was always a dad. And I was like, oh, yeah, you have me. There we
oh
go. It's all over
shoot.
now. Um,
Whoa.
so we got married in 2016,
Hmm.
and then I got pregnant like almost a year later. We got married the beginning of September, and I got pregnant in July the
Hmm.
next year. So,
Hmm.
um, like we knew we wanted a baby around when we had one, so worked out in our favor because not everyone's that lucky. So,
Yeah, that's so epic. Um, okay, what was I guess what were things like before meeting him?
charger. Oh, that's a long time
Oh
ago.
yeah, so like not like you don't have to dive in. Like you can take that wherever you want, but if you
um,
or you could start at like literally like I guess what was going on right before all that. So it's up to you.
so so he's only the second guy I like dated in my life. So I
Okay.
had one other relationship,
Hmm.
um, beginning in college. Mom, the external battery. I need the cord though. Alex, I need the cord to the external battery. My phone's dying. Sorry. I had 100% battery 2 seconds ago and
Oh
it's
my
at
gosh,
32.
that's crazy.
Probably should have.
Yeah, I did think about it and then. Okay. Sorry, guys. Just the worst. Um,
It's all good.
There's like a 30-second
I know.
on Twitch.
Go away. Thank you.
I can hear you from the other room.
Someone mute it. He's watching from the other room.
Oh.
But yeah, so I was in like basically freshman orientation of college. So before I even started college, I met my first like real boyfriend,
Hmm.
and we started dating, and he was from Vermont. And like we were together at school, but then we were long distance in the summers. We dated for 2 years, and then we broke up like 6 months before I met Alex. And then I just like basically the summer I was single and just hanging out, doing my thing. Wasn't really looking for a relationship, but I wasn't completely against it if I met the right person. And I met Alex at a Halloween party, and we just really hit it off. We clicked. We started hanging out all the time. And before we knew it, we were like moving in together. So we moved in together after dating for 8 months, 6 of which he lived in Vermont doing an internship. So we like were together for 3 months, and then he did, or like, yeah, like 2.5 months we were together. Then he did an internship. We did 5.5 months long distance. And then basically as soon as he came home, we moved in together. And that was 7 years ago.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And it's just weird because I like, he was looking for a relationship. I was not, but I was like, whatever. If I meet the right person, I'm not going to be like, no, because things happen for a reason. And it started like kind of, we were just hanging out, and I mean, we liked each other, but we never really defined what we were until he went to do the internship in Vermont. And I was like, so I'm not trying to put pressure on, but like, I kind of need to know where we're at. Like, are we going to date other people and like still talk, or do you just want to do your own thing and then reconnect when you come back? Like, I didn't want to put pressure on him to make it a lot of work, you know? And my mom had made a joke about buying the cow. Like, you can't, I don't know what that saying is. You can't get the milk. Don't give the milk for free. You got to buy the cow. I don't know. It's an old saying. And so basically he was like, I'll buy the cow. That's how he like asked me to be like officially his girlfriend. It's really a nice thing to remember. Oh, she said if he's getting the milk for free, he won't buy the cow. That's the thing. But I don't know. Whatever. What are you holding?
Oh, this is
that like a?
It's a plushie.
Is it a cat?
I never really know. Everyone kind of just looks at it and is confused.
Because it's like,
yeah,
it's like a thing inside of a thing. It looks like a cat inside of a pufferfish.
A pufferfish.
But like, or maybe a pufferfish inside of a cat because it has cat ears.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are like, no one's ever said pufferfish, but
I don't know. It's just because it's the shape, but
it does have like.
It does have gills. Look at that.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but I saw it one day and I was like, it's really soft, and I just wanted it. So
it's pretty cute.
Thanks.
What's going on in your life? And can you explain to me what a digital nomad is? I tried to look it up, but I feel like a real explanation would be beneficial to me.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's pretty much just someone that is not physically tied to a location, so they work wherever they want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I found, but I didn't know if there was more to it.
There's a culture and stuff, and like, I think there's websites to kind of help digital nomads, because you'll like, if I looked up a few videos on like how they live, and they said if you're not someone who like is used to the challenges, especially like having Wi-Fi all the time, being in certain locations, and just not having a place and having limited, always having like a suitcase or whatever, it's like if you're cool with living that way, then I wouldn't recommend it. So just like the pros and cons, and that's just something big for me. And you had said you don't want to have to worry about finances or financial stress. When you said that, I was like, okay. I mean, I don't want to have to worry like beyond like not having. I'm sure none of us want that, but a little extra thing for me is I don't even want to care about the transactions. So if I'm gonna get a little technical here, I know you only asked about digital nomad, but I want to create like a life for myself where nothing's really transactional. So I see myself working with people for a while, like doing like teaming up and helping them do things and making money that way for a while. But for myself, I don't want to have to be like for example, like if I'm going to teach a class, I don't even want there to be transactions there. I don't want to have to deal with that. I'd rather just people walk in and walk out. And so my whole business model kind of takes after I call it like the YouTube model, where
Hmm.
like how are we able to watch so many free videos and enjoy ourselves and learn so many things,
Ads.
and then not have to pay a dime. The ads, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
cool, okay.
So you have to
Um,
get a following, because
yes.
then people want to pay you to put ads in your videos. So that, I mean, I kind of get that
Yeah.
a
So
little.
yeah. So no, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you understand that. So that's one way, and then the other is just support. If people choose to support, but like through like a subscription. So I have like the Patreon, and so there's no transactions for me there. Everything just all the cards get run once a month,
Yep.
and that's just a dream that I guess is more on the newer side after getting more education, and seeing how I could turn and making things more practical, especially with what I'm offering is so intangible. Like it's just not a physical thing, and
Right.
it's more of like a belief. Like
Yeah.
if you trust in this thing and you believe it can go do these things, then that's literally why people will choose to support. And so I know that if I can get that to a certain place, then I can move freely, continuing to do what they're choosing to support me for,
Mm.
um, and not have to worry about having an obligation to things that I don't want to have an obligation to. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't, is that?
I was just trying to, sorry,
Oh
I
no,
was
it's all
looking at
good.
the chat and I'm like, the chat hasn't moved. I see two things and I feel like you said it was blowing up. So I was like, oh, I'll click the chat button and I'm not signed in. So it's like sign up or log in. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be rude. I was
Oh
just
no
trying
no
to
no no no.
pay attention to everything at once.
I know with the chat, it's like whenever I stream, it's on and off. Like some days Facebook will like be insane, or Twitch, or both, or none. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just all over the place. And but usually when people are watching, which we always have a consistent following, of just a few people, but it fluctuates. They're usually just more engaged in listening
Yeah.
more than
Okay, then
talking.
I'll go back and look at the comments. I don't have to look at it now.
Um,
Um, but no, I mean, that's cool. I just, yeah, like, I don't want to have to worry so much. I have a lot of student debt.
yeah,
So from going to college,
yeah,
and that plus buying a house plus having a baby, all those things cost a lot of money.
yeah.
And then things going wrong with the house that we bought and
Oh
like
shit.
having to get things replaced.
Yeah,
I just want to be eventually, and I mean, we're still young, we have plenty of time to get there, but be in a place financially where it's like, oh, we have to replace the back door. Like, that's not a big deal.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Not how are we gonna like eat good food. We're gonna be switching to ramen for the next 6 months. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's not really that bad, but like we joke about it because money gets tight.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's life, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah,
So, and me going back to work will help. That's
yeah.
why I went back to school, to put us in a better spot. Like, because if I were to go back to my old job, I would be paying more than I'd be making to send Caleb to childcare,
Uh,
because
wow.
childcare is ridiculous.
How much is that? Because I have no idea. Like, if I
Um,
just so it's in my head.
like the places we looked, like
Yeah.
400 a week.
So and how much? Like, how long would he be there, and like how many days? Or like
It would
so
be
every
that would
day?
be full time. That would be
Okay.
full time, which could be like as early as 6:30 and as late as 6 or something, but I didn't want that for him either. And we live in New Hampshire now, like 40 minutes from Tewksbury, which is where I was working.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted him to go to childcare in Tewksbury, so he would be in the car an hour each way, plus at the place for 8 hours. So 10 hours a day he'd be in a childcare facility. And then by the time we got home, he would have dinner, like read a couple books and go to bed. So that's for me, um, not worth it, because I was also working to take care of other people's kids at a school. And so I'd be spending all the money that I make taking care of other people's kids to send my kid to be taken care of by somebody else. And I also really enjoy
Yeah.
being home with him and, teaching him stuff. Like, I don't just sit and like plop him in
Yeah.
front of the
Yeah. Yeah.
TV. I'm really engaged with him all day long. And I love doing that. It's not for everyone. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah.
It's very like draining at times, but then it's also really rewarding. So, yeah, daycares charge a lot of money. Somebody just said that I used to work at a daycare, and it's ridiculous. It's just, I mean, I get it. They have to pay their staff. They have to pay for the building, but like, it's a lot. And there are home daycares, but it's still, I don't know. I'd rather just be home with him, especially the first year, because he's so young to be grouped with a bunch of kids who slobber all over everything, and then he gets sick so much. Like, I watched how many kids got sick in the daycare I worked at. Hand, foot, and mouth runs rampant, and I've actually had it as an adult, so I'm not about to get that again.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I do take notes, so I try
That's
to
okay.
remember.
Jesse, I babysit for free too, for family all the time, and I've done it for some friends. I love kids. But like, and so even going kind of off of that,
Yeah.
and I like, for me sometimes, and I know it's unrealistic with how big the population is, but I wish that people could like trade services, because I have things that I could offer people, and
Well, you said it.
I kind of, yeah, I kind of do with my cousin a little bit. Not so much like full-time childcare or anything, but she is getting into photography, so she's been taking a lot of family pictures for us, but doesn't charge us because we're family, and like she kind of uses us to build her portfolio. And then like she needs somebody to watch her kids next week to go to like a funeral and stuff. And it's like it's like 5-hour day or something. But she's like, I have a huge favor to ask you. Can you watch my kids? I'll pay you. I'm like, I'm not gonna take your money. Like, come on. Like, you take my pictures all the time, and like you're a good friend and family member. So why would I take your money? It's like, I'm able to do it. I'm gonna do it. You know? It's not costing me money to watch your kids. So it's just crazy.
I understand.
And then, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I don't even know what I was going to say. I could go on tangents for like ever. So you tell me what you're going to say.
Nah, I mean, I really believe in the trading services. And I know that I don't know of, like, in my head, off the top of my head, any specific services. I just know that those resources exist because we all think it, and someone's definitely making stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, I think like on a small scale you could do it, but you can't really do it large scale. Like, I mean, I'm sure that there are people that you could probably find. I don't know what you would even trade. Like, you couldn't trade for full-time childcare. I don't think. I mean, that's a lot to ask, but I was just like, because then I want to like garden, I want to do all this stuff, but I have like no time. But I really, now that we have a house and we have a yard, I'd like to start growing some of my own like plants, because why not? I'd rather self-sustain, or yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know that I'll be able to self-sustain my entire diet, but like basil, when I use basil to cook, or tomatoes or whatever, like I buy some, but then it goes bad. But if I just pick them fresh off the plant, and then it's just growing and regrowing. And so I have a lot of aspirations for that. We'll see what I get done. This past year, we had to work on the inside of the house. So
okay, growing food, that's tight. Just a random thought. Would you take a roommate who would watch your kid for free in exchange for having a roommate?
Like, hold on, like actually right now I couldn't. My mom lives with us now, so we took on a roommate.
Okay.
Which, like, she does watch my kid all the time when I need her to, so it kind of works. Potentially, I guess it would really depend on the person.
Yeah, okay.
I'd have to like really, really trust them, obviously.
Of course.
And especially like one of the things I noticed when we were touring daycares and stuff was that there aren't a lot of places that have that have like a plan in place for allergies, which is kind of crazy to me, because the place I worked at had a huge like they had a cook who was very serious about all the
Oh,
allergies. Caleb has a dairy allergy, possibly soy, and bananas. So, like, especially with infants, they all put their mouths on all the toys in the room. Like, somebody else's slobber, if it
yeah.
gets on him, he could have a reaction. And I don't know that, like, he wouldn't die, but it could still become serious. And if it gets worse, then it could eventually go to anaphylaxis. So I'm thinking ahead, obviously, but there, I asked about, like, oh, well, when you prep his bottles, like, would you be wearing gloves? They're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, would you keep his stuff separate from the other kids' stuff? No, it all stays in the same spot. I'm like, well, how do you know that you're not going to mix up the formula and give my kid the wrong bottle? Like, I don't feel safe sending my child here.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's important. I think we should
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
So, but yeah, I guess the answer to your question would be, if I had the space, then
Yeah.
potentially, yeah.
Okay. Just to keep in mind. Because there's always people kind of moving around, but I would only think
Yeah.
of like one people that I would know, and then if they love kids. Like I think of like my
Yeah.
cousin, for example. So my cousin, obviously known her my whole life, great
Yeah.
with kids, loves kids, natural motherly person, and she's she's gonna be trying to move out here within the next year or two,
Yeah.
and so she would just come someone that kind of popped into my head. I know that you guys would be
Yeah.
cool
I
with
mean, the
that as
other thing
well.
is that I don't really want to work full time. I want to work until I don't need to.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, well, and then obviously when Caleb's older, I want to go back to working more because I
yeah,
like
yeah.
to be busy.
Of
Like, I
course.
like to, I mean, in the past we've talked and I've had like 3 jobs and school full time, and,
Yeah.
I always fill my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird not having like something I have to go to right now, but
Mm.
I also am needed, and it's just a different need. So it's kind of, it's settling down now too, because Caleb was hospitalized like a month after he was born for a week. He got sick and everything's fine, but his like liver enzymes were weird, and he ended up being, they call it failure to thrive. Um, excuse me. I'm trying to cover the microphone because my cough's gonna be really loud. um, so once we got him like on a new regimen for eating and stuff, he got better, and now he's gaining weight like crazy, but he didn't gain for his whole first month of life, which is like a huge concern.
Yeah.
But now like they say he should have doubled his weight, and he's like doubled his weight plus 4 pounds. So he's like 2.5 times, which is really good.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole beginning was kind of crazy, because finding out about the allergy, he wasn't gaining weight. He had a lip and tongue tie, which he had to have like a laser surgery in his mouth twice to remove. So like the first 3 months was such a blur. I don't even remember half of it. And then dairy stays in your system for 8 weeks. So I was like
Whoa,
nursing
time out.
him.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Neither did I. Well, the protein, and it can be passed to your baby through breastfeeding. So it took a long time for it to like fully get out of his system and him to like kind of go back to being a happy baby. And then by the time that happened, 4 months sleep regression hits, and then he's not sleeping, and then he's miserable. Then he gets his first teeth, and he is miserable again. So it's like every time like we get into a really good routine, like a new tooth will come in and they'll throw it off. But that's all part of it, and it's adapting, which is, like most of life, it never really goes according to plan. So
Yeah.
it's been crazy, but like now we've definitely gotten him on a better schedule, and like he goes to bed between 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
Before, like he wouldn't go to sleep until like 10, and he would wake up at like 5 in the morning. And I'm like, this is not enough sleep for a baby. They're supposed to sleep like 14 hours, and he's like, nope, I'm awake. But he's been getting closer to the 12 hours that he's supposed to be doing, which is really good, because it gives like my husband and I some time again, because for a while there was like zero time together. We would just go to sleep. It was like, oh, he's asleep, thank God. You know?
Yeah.
So like, and now like with the holidays, I'm like, oh, he's asleep. I can wrap a few presents before I go upstairs and like or clean up the kitchen, because I swear my house was the biggest mess for so long, and no one really cares except I get really anal, and like there's a point where I'm like, I can't do it right now, like I have to go to sleep because otherwise I won't function tomorrow. But now I'm happy that I can actually like pick up stuff, like his toys have a place at the end of the night, that he's gonna mess it up tomorrow, but it's okay because I get to enjoy a clean floor for a few hours.
Yeah.
It's so silly to think that like I don't know, a year ago I would have never thought that my life would be like, oh, I'm so excited to have toys in a place, like. And like we never decorated in our apartment, so now that we have the house, like I guess I can show you real quick.
Okay.
I'm very excited for our first tree ever, and like the garland up over the window. And then something really stupid, most people probably don't care about this, is that I have like this stupid little Santa sleigh that I put all of his books in, like, well, the books I keep down here, so that it like looks decorative instead of them just like being on a stair. But those are the things I'm excited about now.
Oh man, okay. Adulting and parenting.
Yeah,
That's funny.
your life changes a lot.
But I could see that. I could see that.
I was an old person before, and I did get excited, like really stupid excited about getting a new vacuum like 2 years ago. You have no idea. Like, I was like, wow, I'm like a true adult. I'm really old because I'm like jumping for joy that I have a new vacuum. I know, it's ridiculous.
Oh man.
Like, I'm sure what you get. What is happening?
Is that the stream?
It's not ours. It's Amanda's just came up. I don't know why. I must have clicked something accidentally. I'll just mute it. But like I'm sure the things that you get excited about are very, very different than the things that I'm getting excited about.
I mean, I think it's just because we're at different points for sure in our life.
Oh
But
yeah.
I can totally understand the vacuum thing. I get that. Like, it just makes sense because it's practical. And
Well,
you
like
need
my
it.
old vacuum used to kick up like the dirt, and it would like shoot at your ankles while you were vacuuming. I'm like, this is not doing its job. So getting one that worked was, it was great.
That makes sense. You said a lot of things, and I was trying to make sure I remembered them.
He's awake now.
Oh, he is?
Apparently, he just woke up. Not good. He went to bed at 7:00.
Oh, shoot. So do you, if you recall, like, have you just been busy your whole life?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you?
So.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If you have it, go. Because I'm just.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I started working 3 jobs when I was 15 years old, and I danced and took like AP and honors classes too. So yeah.
So is that all by choice?
Kinda. I mean, my mom was a single mom, so
Okay.
I got to a point where I was taking so many dance classes that she's like, you either need to cut back or get a job. So I got 3 jobs so I could pay for dance.
That's so good. And I love that. And I'm gonna clip that if I remember how to do that. So clipping, can I do it in stream? I think I can. Yeah, I can.
I mean, like, she wished she could do it, but at the same time, it taught me a lot. And I'm grateful to not have had everything handed to me, because it made me like work really hard and appreciate everything so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really truly appreciate every little thing, and obviously I appreciate time much more than like any physical object or monetary thing. I mean, it's, for me, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because there's no presents involved. Like, it's all about just spending time with family and having good food. I love food, so, who doesn't? Um, but I love Christmas because of the decorations, but sometimes it's like overwhelming because people get so wrapped up in who got what, and what did you get for me, and what is this present? And I'm like, I mean, this definitely people say this all the time, but like I really believe that like your presence is the present, and my mom says it all the time. I can't help but get her like a little something just to like show her my appreciation, but it's I really enjoy the time I get to spend with the people, and like especially having a brother who's deployed. When he's home, I really value every minute that I get to spend with him, or even every FaceTime call that we get while he's overseas. Um, and I think he's starting to too, because he's younger, not much, but he is married and he actually has a baby on the way. So he's starting to like really appreciate, every little bit that he gets of our voices or like a glimpse of our face, because he just sees the men that he works with all day for like months while they're out at sea.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's so great. Um.
But yeah, you were asking if I was always busy, pretty much.
No, it's dope. Like I love that you. It just. So I'm. I don't know where to start. I'm empathetic. I haven't said that in a long time. And I get where people are coming from when they struggle with something. And so,
Yeah.
as someone who gets that, I'll kind of just like listen. And if they ask for any type of advice, like I'll advise. And then the other part of me that knows that some people have been able to do things like what you have, like making that decision and just doing it. Like for you, maybe that, I'm sure like certain things in your life are hard. Everyone has things hard, but just being able to make the decision and to just do that, where some people will say like, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, but they don't really understand what it's like to, well, I want to dance as much as I want to dance, and so if I want to dance more and if we don't have money, then there has to be
find a way to get
options,
it.
right? Like you find a way. And some people literally, and she's either watching the stream or is going to watch the stream. It's very specific to a person right now, but there are just plenty of people who just either just don't have the stomach. Like some of my students dropped like classes this year because they couldn't juggle certain things. I'm like, you don't even work.
Yeah.
And you're over here telling me you're working and going to school and dancing all the classes you want to dance. And it's like, it's how bad you really want it. Or someone just okay, go ahead.
Well, no, sorry. Because dance is what kept me sane.
Yeah.
Like I had really, really bad anxiety in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to have panic attacks all the time, and I would get super overwhelmed, probably because of the 1,000 things I was doing. Because then, especially junior and senior year, I was also captain of the dance team, and like the Tewksbury School's dance team is completely student run. So the captains like plan the fundraisers, like plan the whole show, get the costumes. Like it's a lot of work. You're planning. I mean, and it's not a big show, but you're planning a lot on top of your schoolwork, on top of your outside extracurricular activities. And so I definitely had a few mental breakdowns, but like actually dancing and being at the studio is what kept me sane. And when I was upset about my dad, which like I didn't really want to talk too much about him anyway, but he was absent. And at that time, I was still struggling a lot with it. Since then, I'm like completely cool with it now. I mean, it just is what it is. So I like put it there because for a long time, I considered it an adversity. And like, I mean, financially, it definitely was for our family. And then for me, it was hard to not have that relationship with my dad that like I saw my friends having. But in the long run, like it's better for my soul to be like just free of him. And so a couple years ago, like right before my wedding, actually, I met with him for the last time that I've seen him or heard from him really. And we had a conversation, and like I offered him my help. He said he was going to take it. The next day he changed his phone number, and I was just like, okay, well, that's cool then. And at that point, it had already been like a few years since we had talked, and I like he reached out, and I was like, maybe he's really changed. Maybe he wants help. Like he said he was sober and that he wanted to like go to AA and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? If he's willing to help himself, then I'll try. But
Yeah.
he's not. You can't make an addict stop if they're not willing to. I mean, I've watched my dad go through this for a long time. So um, it was at that point I like offered to go to AA with him, which he knew was really big for me because excuse me. I had issues with his drinking for other reasons, like for a long time. And I was like, you know, Dad, if you really want to go, if you really want support, then I'm here. And then his phone was shut off. He had a new number. And I was just like, okay, I see how it is. So that's fine.
Mm.
You don't want the help. You wanted the sob story. You wanted like me to feel bad for you because it's what he does. He's very manipulative. And um,
I see.
you know, and then, I mean, addiction is obviously like a disease,
Yeah.
but with him, like if he can recognize, like that day he had said to me, he's like, being sober sucks. And I was like, oh yeah, why? And he's like, because you fail stuff.
Mm.
So like he basically admitted he drinks to fail numb, and like he's aware of what he's doing to some extent. So I'm like, all right, if you were just sober for 6 months, because he was in jail. So I don't even know why. I don't really want to know why. And I was just like, well, if you were sober for 6 months and like you're serious about being sober, like, but you can't go 2 more days, because he had asked to come to my wedding, and I was like, well, if you can stay sober, it was like literally 10 days away, and he's like, yeah, and then one day he couldn't. So but he made a fool of himself at another wedding, so I didn't want that happen. I didn't want the stress of that happening, you know, at my wedding. And maybe that's harsh, and maybe some people are like, he's your father, you should do anything for him. But the relationship with him was toxic to a point where I was getting like physically ill from the anxiety that I felt from him drinking and driving and doing all these things, and just like I had panic constantly that he was going to like kill himself or somebody else, not on purpose. So I had to let it go for my own well-being.
Okay.
But
no, that's okay. That's a lot.
yeah, sorry.
No. I'm all for that, and I just, again, more conversational than anything, and just that's the real stuff that most people either don't share,
I used to kind of hide from it, I feel like, and I've gotten to a point where I'm okay talking about it. And it's like, for me, I've realized that with a lot of things, like even like miscarriage, for example, like it's so it was always considered like what is the word I'm looking for?
like a sin or taboo.
Like taboo to talk about it, or like people were embarrassed by it because they thought somehow it's their fault. But like more women than not really have suffered a miscarriage or whatever. And like with my father, like a lot of people, everybody has their shit or their stuff. Sorry, my mouth is bad today, apparently.
It's all good. It's all good.
Like, everyone goes through their own thing. Some people, have it better than others in some ways. Like, some people are free from financial stress, but they don't have like the love and support of family and friends. Like, I'm really blessed in love and support. And even without my dad, like my mom was a super mom. She did everything to make our lives the best they could be. Like, she really is kick ass. She's awesome. And she was 2 parents. Like, she really was. She was better than a lot of 2-parent families, with how she made us feel. Like, she was driving my brothers to hockey, me to dance, and then still we'd have dinner together somehow. Like, I don't even know how she made it happen. And she was working 2 jobs, and she was putting herself through school because she had kids young, so she hadn't gone to college, and she started going back like while she's being a single mom and working 2 jobs and all this stuff. Like, she's crazy. That's where I get my work ethic from, and like why I'm always busy, apparently.
So were you aware of that when you were young, or no?
I was pretty aware early on. I would say like more aware than my brothers were. Like, my mom and I have always been really close, and she always says that, like, I mean, and maybe my brothers were more aware, but they just like didn't show it necessarily. but my mom always says like I was a great teenager, and I think like because a lot of moms and daughters like
Yeah.
get into it
Yeah.
as when they're teenagers, and I used to yell at my friends when they'd be like, "My mom's such a bitch." I'm like, "Stop! I don't want to hear it." Like, do you know what your mom does for you every day? So like I know at least in high school and probably for a while before then, I was very aware of like how much she did for us. So that helped me like want to be the best daughter I could be and like make her life as easy as I possibly
Yeah.
could.
Okay.
Like which that probably helped like or not helped but didn't help my anxiety because I was always so like afraid to disappoint her.
I see.
But I think that my standard was higher than hers probably would be, but like I felt like I needed to be perfect because she deserved that.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about it like later, and she's like, "I'm so sorry that you ever felt that way." And I'm like, "It's stuff I put on myself though. It's
Yeah.
you didn't put that on me." So it's just my own, I don't know. The way I just wanted to make her life easy
Yeah.
because my brothers didn't always.
Yeah.
I mean, they were hard, but it's all right.
Okay. Honestly, I think I think that covered like some of the questions that I was gonna ask, to be honest, because I was gonna dive a little bit more into like where do you think the busyness comes from, but it makes sense, and then
Yeah.
the
My mom
anxiety
was always
makes
super
sense.
busy.
So okay, I guess the last thing about being busy, before we end, is so after I guess essentially making that your DNA, which is obviously hardcore embedded. I have that in myself as well, and that was like super embedded. What am I gonna ask? Since you're not necessarily doing it in the way that you normally would, because you had talked about being a parent and like it's different.
Yeah.
The needs are different. What's happening here? I guess because for me, when I was like, I made the decision to stop being who I was in, not like being inauthentic to myself, but more like, okay, I know who I am at this moment, and the things that I can do. However, there are certain parts of me that I don't like, and it's and I started to learn how to see there was a whole picture. I was like, okay, the cost of work ethic and doing this and cutting this off and doing that is these things, and I don't like these things. So instead of doing what I've been doing for so long, I'm gonna switch it up and do the complete opposite. Turn the work ethic off and do the reverse, right? Of having the motivation, the creativity, and it was hard, and I didn't like it.
But do you love it now?
There's a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like now I take from both. I love working and like just making all the time, but I also enjoy like hikes and just chilling and talking with you. So to me, this is both. This is like being present, and this is like I'm choosing to spend my time this way because I genuinely enjoy it this way. But at the same time, in the background, it's building something long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like what's going on in my head, being busy in a different kind of way. Sometimes I miss parts of like working a job, and I still go to the dance studio because I'm doing choreography.
I see.
I miss having like something to go to like weekly where I'm needed outside of the home. I guess if that makes sense. And I miss being able to contribute financially just to take the edge off of, because right now my husband has a lot of the financial stress on his shoulders, and I feel a little bit guilty, but at the same time, like he doesn't make me feel guilty at all. He's very appreciative for everything that I do for the family. And I mean, he's also a rock star. I'm very, very blessed. Like, because he also cooks and like cleans, like not necessarily every night, but like he'll work a full day and then come home and cook dinner. Like I am really, really lucky because most women don't get this or even close to this. Most men come home, not most men. I try not to be like judgmental, but what people tell me, they're like, my husband comes home and expects dinner on the table. And I'm like, well, why'd you marry him? I don't know. It's like you have to, if that works for you, that's great. And I have no issues with like that type of relationship if that's what works for the people in it. But then people get like a little judgy that I'm like, I get this awesome guy who like works and then cooks and then will clean or go grocery shopping if I need him to. And he's like, will you devote your entire day to teaching our son? And like, he knows I'm not just sitting around like, you know, on my phone or on the computer, or like even just like sitting there and staring at him. Like, what are you going to do? Like, we read books, we do this, we do like activities, like, or I like get him to crawl by building towers across the room or whatever. So it's like an engaging day, which takes a lot. And as he gets older, like I taught phonics and reading and all this stuff, and I learned really young how to read. I started reading when I was like 3, I think. And so not that I'm going to pressure Caleb to do that, but like I'm going to encourage and like help him get to that point. And like I've already been teaching him some sign language and stuff. Like he hasn't been able to do it, but he does understand like some stuff, and he gets really intrigued by the like alphabet. And I don't know sign language. I've been teaching myself like baby sign language essentially so that I could teach him. But like I actually put a lot of effort into being a mom, and it's not just like, okay, I have a baby, I'm a mom. Like, you know,
Yeah,
it's
that's so cool.
but that's something like I told you I really, really wanted to be. I want to be an involved mom, I guess, is the difference. Because too many kids I see like in the grocery store, they're just like on a tablet or, you know, on a phone. And like, that's fine to entertain your kid for a short time. Or like, I mean, right now, Caleb's really squirmy and I know we have to go because you probably have another person. But, so like, I'll have to like stick my phone, like, I don't have a place to put it in his room. Like I'll put the pop socket in my mouth and put on a video so I can change his diaper because he tries to flip off of the dresser. And it's literally only for his safety, like, is why I put the screen on, because I cannot get him to sit still. And it's just, he wants to go. And like, he's very curious about everything. And I'm sure that will pass. So in the meantime, that's when he gets his screen time, is 2 minutes while I change his diaper.
That's so cool. You're so blessed. I know you know that, but
I'm so, yeah, I
being
am.
able to just hear your story and like being where you're at now and kind of like the key people in your life, who you are, and like your goals and stuff is insane. Just cause like, well, it's just dope. I love when, I guess, people are just, they know, like, you know it for yourself. And
I know what I want. Well, the thing is, I always said I would get, you know, married when I was, like, I said I wanted to meet the right guy when I was 20, get engaged at 24, get married when I was 25, have 2 kids before I'm 30. And I'm well on my way to that happening. I met Alex, like, literally 2 weeks after I turned 20. We got engaged when I was 24. We got married 1 month shy of my 25th birthday, and that's only because my brother could come home from the military that month because we were going to do it in October, so I would have been 25. And then we had Caleb when I was 27, and we're hoping we'll have another baby before I'm 30. So it's like my life is like, everyone's like, that's never going to happen. And I was like, yeah, it's probably not, but that's what I want. And then it just fell into place. So I feel extremely lucky and blessed, and to have friends and family members who are so supportive of just like me being me, and like we're just so supportive of each other. And it's nice, even though like financially there's stressors and stuff, but like the rest of my life right now is pretty damn good. And I'm very thankful for it. And I'm not like, I don't like to brag or like, you know, anything like that. Like my life's not perfect, but I'm very happy. You know?
That's good.
So that's good.
That's really good. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Like, most of the time,
I hope this digital nomad thing works out for you. I mean, it seems like you have, you know, a lot of content and you have a lot of people to talk to, which is really cool.
Yeah, things are working. It's kind of, I can get more into that another time. And I definitely have questions for like in the future, whether we just like hang out or do this again.
Yeah. I know. I don't see your face anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who is that?
You have somebody. You have a visitor.
That's my mom.
Hi, Mom.
Oh yeah, they went out. Okay. Okay. I kind of wish we could go a little more, but I used to be again. I used to be really bad at just ending these, and now I'm trying to be like, okay, we're gonna end now.
I know, you have to. I get it.
Yeah.
You're busy. You got people to talk to.
Yeah.
All
Thank you for sharing.
right.
That was really dope, and I'm really happy that you're happy.
I feel like I talked the whole time. Sorry.
No, but that's like that's what it's about. To be honest, I've heard
You're
my
welcome.
story enough, so.
I know. Well, I haven't though.
True.
I don't know how, you know.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there another time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck. It was nice talking with you.
Thank you. You too. If you need anything, let me know.
Same.
I have peoples and I have stuff, so I can give info if you wanna.
I mean, I have me, and but I like to help, and especially now that I have a little bit of free time, like I was able to do this tonight, which was cool. Because I was like, when you asked, I was like, I probably would have never seeked out doing this, but I was like, you know, what the hell? Why not? Give it a try.
Dope. Well, it was fun.
Yeah, it was. All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.